I think you should pay everybody. Is it a reason why you guys are not paying whatever that vendor is?
What was it for?
It was for shirts. That's what it's for. You do that.
Mr. Lacey is absolutely not guilty of all 9 counts. I believe he's cooperating. And if you cooperate, you have to admit your guilt.
Tensions in Dalton, Illinois have reached a boiling point as Mayor Tiffany Henyard faces a growing wave of controversy and public backlash. Accused of mismanagement, extravagant spending, and fostering a toxic political environment, Henyard is under fire from frustrated residents who say she prioritizes her personal image over community needs. Calls for transparency and accountability have escalated into demands for her resignation, but instead of addressing the allegations, Henyard has reportedly doubled down, engaging in standoffs with the very people who elected her. Her defiance has only deepened the divide, leaving residents outraged and disillusioned as the showdown over Dalton's leadership continues to escalate. The relationship between Mayor Tiffany Henyard and the residents of Dalton, Illinois, has deteriorated into a volatile showdown marked by allegations of corruption, mismanagement, and public distrust. Accusations of misuse of public funds, including claims that taxpayer money was spent on personal luxuries and unnecessary events, have fueled widespread outrage. Town hall meetings have devolved into heated confrontations, with residents demanding accountability from a leader they feel has betrayed their trust. As dissatisfaction reaches a fever pitch, Henyard's response has been anything but conciliatory. Her reactions, marked by public outbursts, evasive tactics, and finger-pointing, have only intensified community frustration. Instead of addressing concerns or offering compromise, her defiance has escalated the situation, transforming what was once a manageable conflict into a full-scale crisis. For many, this is the breaking point in a long pattern of perceived neglect and mismanagement, leaving Dalton at a critical crossroads as residents call for justice and a change in leadership.
Sometimes we get invoices, but those invoices lead to more questions, and sometimes we don't get answers to those questions. And so it's not about clickbait, it's about just making sure the right.
At a recent town hall meeting in Dalton, Illinois, the local government reached new heights of dysfunction, with tensions running so high that it became a chaotic spectacle. Mayor Tiffany Henyard found herself at the center of the storm, fully embracing the chaos. As frustrated residents flooded the room, Henyard grinned through the waves of criticism, dismissing serious concerns and even mocking her constituents on live television. Rather than addressing the grievances of those who elected her, she seemed more focused on doubling down on her controversial reputation. The scene felt like something out of a political reality show, with Henyard seemingly relishing her role as the villain in a drama that continues to unfold in Dalton. The town meeting in Dalton, Illinois, which was originally called to address mounting concerns about Mayor Tiffany Henyard's leadership, quickly spiraled into a chaotic display of public outrage. Fueled by allegations of financial mismanagement and a string of scandals, the meeting became a tense battleground for frustrated residents, many of whom had reached their boiling point. Complaints about Henyard's divisive leadership style flooded the room, with accusations of using taxpayer funds for personal indulgences, from extravagant dinners to luxury trips and lavish events that appeared to serve no public purpose. One particularly shocking expenditure involved an $85,000 tab for a poorly attended party featuring subpar performers, all paid for with taxpayer money. As residents expressed their outrage over their hard-earned dollars being squandered, Henyard seemed unfazed, mocking their anger, laughing off their calls for accountability, and continuing her defiant antics. What was meant to be a platform for transparency instead became a spectacle of political disregard. What was meant to be a forum for addressing legitimate grievances quickly devolved into a masterclass in dismissiveness, as Mayor Tiffany Henyard brushed off serious allegations with a sense of smug indifference. Her cavalier attitude only stoked the flames of discontent, with each dismissal and mocking gesture intensifying the frustration in the room. For many, the meeting wasn't just a chance to vent. It was a desperate plea for leadership in the face of an administration that increasingly appears chaotic and self-serving. As Dalton struggles with financial instability and a growing list of allegations, including claims that Henyard's misuse of public funds has worsened the town's fiscal crisis, residents are beginning to openly question how much longer they can endure under her leadership. Yet despite their cries for accountability and solutions, Henyard seemed more focused on performing than addressing the real concerns at hand, further deepening the divide. The meeting concluded as a glaring reminder of the widening gap between Mayor Tiffany Henyard and the residents of Dalton, exposing not only a failure of governance, but an administration entangled in scandal, tone deafness, and a troubling lack of empathy. While residents expressed their deep frustration and felt abandoned, Henyard appeared more focused on performing for the cameras than addressing the urgent concerns of the community. Left with more questions than answers, Dalton's residents walked away feeling even more betrayed. Henyard, however, remained unwavering in her defiance, dismissing the growing outrage as mere noise. For Dalton, a town long burdened by controversy, this moment marked the grim reality that the path to resolution will be long, challenging, and fraught with uncertainty.
Who would make a one-day purchase of over $40,000 to Amazon? And the main thing is,
As the town meeting began, it didn't take long for chaos to erupt, with the atmosphere quickly turning into a fiery standoff between Mayor Tiffany Henyard and frustrated residents. The crowd's anger was palpable, with boos and jeers mixing with scattered cheers of support, creating a spectacle of division and frustration. The tension was so thick it almost seemed to seep through the screen as Henyard, unfazed, took the stage. Instead of addressing the growing concerns, displaying humility, or offering solutions, she did what she has become known for: deflecting, mocking, and exuding an air of untouchable confidence. With her signature smirk plastered on her face, she waved off the anger in the room, belittling complaints with condescension and making it clear she had no intention of stepping down. At one point, Henyard even embraced her defiant persona, referring to herself as Super Mayor and boasting of being the people's mayor and people's supervisor. The statement was met with more outrage than applause, as a frustrated resident was caught on camera shouting, "You're not going to understand until they come and put cuffs on you." It was a scathing remark that captured the growing sentiment among Dalton's residents, who believe Henyard's unchecked power and alleged abuses of office could ultimately lead her down a legal path she may not be able to escape. Yet, even in the face of such pointed criticism, Henyard didn't flinch. Instead, she waved it off dismissively, treating the crowd's anger as the outcry of unruly children throwing a tantrum. This attitude, her refusal to engage seriously with her critics or acknowledge their concerns, is exactly what has pushed Dalton's residents to their breaking point. Tiffany Henyard doesn't just dismiss concerns, she trivializes them. Henyard ensures she always has the last word, often one that is frustratingly tone-deaf and only fuels further outrage. For many, it's hard to reconcile this version of Henyard with the hopeful figure they elected just a few years ago as Dalton's first female mayor. Back then, she presented herself as a breath of fresh air, a bold and capable leader, promising to shake things up for the better. Residents saw her as a symbol of progress and strength, someone who would champion their concerns and usher in a new era for Dalton. Now, however, that optimism has turned to disillusionment. Many view her actions as self-serving and harmful to the community. The promises of positive change have been overshadowed by allegations of financial mismanagement, scandals, and a pattern of governance that prioritizes Henyard's own ambitions over the town's needs. Residents who once admired her determination now accuse her of wielding power with an iron fist, making unilateral decisions and dismissing opposing voices with contempt. Her public demeanor, once perceived as bold, now feels more like arrogance. What was once seen as confidence now feels abrasive, disconnected, and entirely out of touch. Each meeting Mayor Henyard presides over seems to spiral further into chaos, with her dismissiveness and apparent disregard for accountability only fueling public frustration. What was once perceived as strength has morphed into an attitude of defiance, alienating her constituents and validating her critics' claims that her leadership prioritizes optics and control over effective governance. As the chaos unfolded during the meeting, it became glaringly obvious to everyone watching that Henyard's tenure is no longer just a series of missteps or disagreements. It has become a political powder keg, detonating in real time.
Mayor Tiffany Henyard, the people's mayor and people's supervisor.
Amid public confrontations and heated town meetings, Tiffany Henyard is now facing legal challenges far more severe than the spectacle of local government dysfunction. She is under the scrutiny of an FBI investigation, with federal agents reportedly probing her management of Dalton's finances, a situation fueling serious allegations of corruption. The accusations against Henyard are not mere whispers, but a growing chorus of grievances from nearly every direction, including former trustees, disillusioned employees, and frustrated residents, all accusing her of misconduct. The picture being painted is deeply troubling, with claims suggesting that Henyard has diverted taxpayer funds for personal gain, effectively enriching herself at the expense of the community. To make matters worse, These allegations are compounded by accusations that her actions have contributed to Dolton's ongoing financial instability. Mayor Tiffany Henyard has filled key positions within the village government with unqualified individuals, appointing them based on personal loyalty rather than professional merit. Critics argue this move is part of a strategic effort to consolidate her power, creating an environment where dissent was silenced and her allies ensured her agenda prevailed. Regardless of whether it served the public interest, this alleged network of cronyism has been described as a self-serving mechanism designed to protect her dominance while sidelining accountability. As scrutiny intensifies, Henyard's actions are increasingly seen as a betrayal of public trust, sparking widespread outrage. The combination of financial mismanagement, unethical governance, and blatant favoritism has plunged Dolton into a crisis, shaking the community to its core. Residents and officials alike are united in their demand for transparency, justice, and the restoration of integrity in their local government.
And that is the finding of an investigation of village finances and the spending habits of beleaguered Mayor Tiffany Henyard.
One particularly eyebrow-raising allegation involves Mayor Henyard's use of public funds for personal expenses. Reports have surfaced claiming she used taxpayer money to pay for luxury trips, dine at high-end restaurants, and even purchase expensive personal items from Amazon. In one instance, it was revealed that Henyard's Amazon spending in a single day amounted to over $40,000. And here's the kicker: no one knows what was purchased or why it was necessary for village business. This has raised serious questions about the integrity of Dolton's finances, which are reportedly in complete disarray. According to former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot, who was hired as a special investigator by Dolton's trustees, the financial mismanagement has reached alarming levels. The village's general fund has a negative balance of $365 million. Let that sink in, $365 million in debt. Yet Henyard continues to act as if there's no problem. She boldly defended her spending, defiantly stating, "You know it's me of power, so how dare you think you can come into someone's town and do work?" This display of audacity mirrors her pattern of governance, as she continues to appoint her allies to key positions without approval from the village board. Among the appointees are a new police chief and village attorney, further solidifying her control. However, it's not just the spending that's raising red flags. Her unchecked power and disregard for oversight are at the heart of the growing concerns. A Cook County judge intervened and blocked Mayor Henyard's appointments, ruling that she had overstepped her authority by making these moves without board consent. The judge issued a temporary restraining order, preventing her appointees from taking office. Despite this ruling, Henyard continued to defy the court's decision. Reports indicate that she instructed her appointees to keep showing up at Village Hall as if nothing had changed. When confronted by trustees about her blatant disregard for the court order, Henyard dismissed their concerns, acting as though the law simply didn't apply to her. Henyard's brazen disregard for the rules has left many wondering how much longer she can maintain this defiance. Legal challenges continue to pile up, and there is growing talk of criminal charges being filed against her. With the FBI now investigating, it's only a matter of time before the situation reaches a breaking point. Meanwhile, even Henyard's inner circle is feeling the pressure. Keith Freeman, one of her closest allies, has already been indicted on bankruptcy fraud charges and is facing up to 5 years in prison if convicted. Investigators are likely to try to flip him to uncover more details on Henyard. But the scandal doesn't end there. Rumors suggest that Henyard's circle isn't as loyal as she believes, with reports indicating that at least one close ally has started cooperating with investigators, potentially offering cooperating details on Henyard's.
The way that the government always does it is to go and investigate people around her, and that's what they're doing here.
The whispers are growing louder. Some of Henyard's closest allies might be spilling the beans on even more secrets surrounding her administration's shady dealings. Could we see more unexpected names come forward? It's becoming increasingly clear that loyalty to Henyard might come at a hefty personal cost, and some are reportedly willing to risk everything just to save themselves. Rumors are circulating that other appointees are also cooperating with investigators, which could spell disaster for Henyard. After all, it's one thing to stand firm when you've got a loyal team behind you, but when those same people begin turning on you to protect their own interests, that's when things truly start to unravel. It's looking more and more likely that Henyard's house of cards might come crashing down sooner than expected, and the wild ride may only be just beginning. Despite everything unfolding around her, Henyard still insists on presenting herself as the unquestioned leader. She's been holding separate meetings, making public appearances, and acting as though she's the only one in charge, even though both court orders and public opinion are firmly against her. At this point, it's hard to tell if she's in complete denial or if she genuinely believes she can outlast the storm. The administration's defiant stance is increasingly viewed as shameful, with many claiming, "Y'all are a disgrace." It's like watching the slow collapse of an administration. There was even a moment where she tried to hold a meeting at Village Hall after being ousted by the trustees, further proving her refusal to acknowledge her fall from power. After being ousted by the trustees, Henyard attempted to hold a meeting at Village Hall, only to be shut down by the courts once again. It was a bold move, but also another example of her determination to cling to power at all costs. Yet, it also highlights just how isolated she's become. Her once loyal supporters are dwindling, and the only people still in her corner appear to be those who stand to lose the most if she goes down. In her latest public appearance, Henyard made it clear she would have the final word, declaring, "There will be no comments, only me addressing you to tell you what's going on." And let's not forget the public reaction. Fans have a lot to say about all of this. One commenter summed it up by saying, "Tiffany always has to get the last word, and it's usually stupid. She has zero shame." This sentiment seems to reflect how many feel about her leadership. Another viewer pointed out, Tiffany criticizes others, but doesn't like to be criticized herself, which seems to be a pattern in her defiant public persona. Henyard is quick to dish out criticism, but can't seem to handle the heat when it's directed her way. With so much tension surrounding her, it's hard to predict how this saga will end. Will she finally be forced out of office? Will the investigations lead to criminal charges? Or will she somehow manage to cling to power despite the mounting pressure? One thing is for sure, this story is far from over. The legal wheels are turning, and it feels like any day now something major is going to drop. Her opponents are closing in, and with each new piece of evidence, Henyard's grip on her office seems to slip a little more. The courts have been clear that her actions are illegal, and the community has made it even clearer they want her gone. The only question left is, how long can she hold out? And that's where things stand for now. But seriously, do you think Henyard will step down voluntarily, or will she continue to ride this out until the very end? Will she ride this train until the wheels fall off? And what about her supporters? Why do you think they're sticking by her when everything seems to be crumbling around them? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to hit subscribe for more updates on this unfolding drama.